Hey everyone, welcome to this week's update video for Haze Reverb. There's not too much to talk about this week. I've already mentioned a couple of them from last week anyway. But I'll say the majority of the video will probably be talking about Cosmic Showdown, which is an old event that has come back, and I think it was better just to talk about it in this video rather than doing a separate video for it. Especially because I have done a video for it in the past anyway, if you wanted to check that out. But let's talk about the new banner first, which is Flovira. The unit is not new, alright? Flovira is already in the game, and therefore there's no real rush to get her. You can get her off banner, and she's also in the customized banner as well, if you really wanted to pick her. But let's go over her skills. Now, first off, she's a heavy unit, right? And her attack range is like this, like a cross shape, with her targeting the middle or the center, right? This means that you want to position her in the middle lane to hit the most number of tiles, and she also targets the second unit in the row. But you can hit the sides if you want to, but of course, if you're hitting the sides, then you miss out on a couple of tiles potentially. So it just really depends what you're trying to target, but in general, you want her in the middle lane. She has some self buffs, she buffs mobility, crit chance. Her damage is scaled off mobility and attack. However, she has no damage type ignore. Therefore, she can potentially get bricked by like a max armor unit or something like that. If she kills an enemy, she'll boost herself, which is not bad. And she also increases her own armor combined with like the mobility. It gives her a little bit of defensive capability, but not enough to fully block out attacks. And then she also gives herself a shield based off her attack when she gets attacked. That also helps protect her. However, for the big damage units like Valentine, Charlissa, Belina, like those sort of units, they'll probably one-shot her anyway. But anything that doesn't do that much damage, yeah, she could probably survive some of those. Then her main ability here is that despite being a heavy unit, she can actually skip her charge phase as long as a certain number of units are alive on your side. Now, this is at the highest rank, and this is like the lowest amount of units that you can have in order to trigger the skip of the charge phase. However, at lower ranks, it will be a lot more. Basically, like at rank 0, it will be 9 units, and therefore you have to have your entire team alive before she attacks to get the charge. It still means that she's usable because you just basically put her as your first DPS unit. And obviously, as an attacker, you're the first to act, and therefore, at least on turn 1, she will be able to attack and skip the charge phase. But for prolonged battles, you probably want her to be skilled up to be able to continuously skip it, as long as most of your team still stays alive. And then she also, at the same time as with the same condition, she'll also boost her own attack. And her EX is a follow-up attack that does fixed damage, which is quite good. And as long as the unit is below 50%, this will trigger. Alright, so that is Flovira's abilities. Basically, she is a heavy type that skips charge phase and is a pretty good DPS with some damage reduction. And it makes her useful in any comp, not just heavy comps, but like even just your usual tank teams. She can be used as a DPS there, but just because she doesn't really have a specific type that she needs to have on the field to trigger her abilities, and therefore she's like probably the most flexible heavy unit that you can use at the moment, especially for things like Red Tower, where if you do still need a DPS or for the heavy requirements, right? Like you have to run 3 heavy units. At least if you're running Flovira, you can do something, right? Instead of just being there for the requirement, and that might be helpful if you're lacking some damage or units to clear Red Tower efficiently. But aside from that, she's a decent unit, but with summer coming up, I think it's better to just wait for the summer banners, and therefore I would skip pulling for her. But if you really want her, you like her design or something like that, which I wouldn't blame you looking at her design right here, That's really up to you if you want to pull for her. But my suggestion is wait for the summer banners. Okay, that's enough about Flovira. Now I want to point out that in the game announcements here, you can check. This is last week's like maintenance information, right? We got we got Sam last week, right? Now we got Flovira for this week, and then next week we're gonna get Genia, and again it'll be like a skip banner probably, right? If you really want her, then by all means, but I don't think it's worth going for her at this stage. Now the Cosmic Showdown has just started, and I will talk about that in a second. But the double resource has not started just yet, but it will start in 2 days from now. So keep that in mind. You will want to do a little bit of preparation for this in that you should be doing your side stories. I did mention last week to do your side story, or at least like put most of your stamina into here to get as much of the shop as possible. And the reason was because double resources coming up this week. Thankfully, it hasn't started just yet, so you have a couple more days. But you want to put in most of your stamina into here. You probably will still want to do 5 resource stages just to complete your dailies, of course. But aside from that, you should do the rest of your stamina in here. And that way you can try to buy out as much of the shop as possible. At least get the important stuff like your glittering reverbs, cores, potions, and also the breakthrough resonance, right? These are probably like the 4 most important. And then a lot of these are like, nice to have. Tickets are great. Well, probably like, pretty equal with the rest. And yeah, you probably want like the other reverbs, and like the development materials are also good. So make sure you do that. While there's no double resource, because during double resource, of course, you're going to do most of your stamina into that. However, during double resource, you probably should still do your 5 sweeps in the side story just to get the daily stamina, or sorry, the daily currency to help you finish off the store, and then see how you go towards the end of the event next week. It'll be roughly a week from now. If by the end of it you don't have enough currency, that you might have to spend a bit more to finish it off. Now let's talk about the Cosmic Showdown, which is the event that has started today. Basically, this is a PvP event on server on the server, right? You can see here you'll get 5 attacks daily. I already did. Oh, this is from yesterday. I think the day just reset. But yeah, I have another 5 free ones from today. You can do more if you want by spending crystals. I don't recommend it. It's not really worth spending the crystals. And basically, the idea is you'll automatically pair you to someone. Your offense will attack their defense, and vice versa, their offense will attack your defense. And then the outcome is determined based off whether either you get both wins or it's a draw, and then there's a tiebreaker based off points. Now, the way the points work, I'll talk about that while this is loading up. Basically, the percentage of health that you have remaining is multiplied by 90,000 points, right? And therefore, if you lose some units, you'll find that your points will go down. And then basically the tiebreaker is whoever has the most points will win the match, right? If one of your teams beats their teams, and then their team beats your team, right? In that case, you use the points as the determining factor, and for that reason, you kind of want to have 2 decently built teams. If you don't have enough units, then I would say focus on one and just do the best you can on the second, right? So as an example, maybe you want to focus on your offense team. It's generally easier to make an offense team because you will always get first turn as offense, and therefore you'll always have the advantage as the first turn player, right? Because you get to do stuff first. Your Crim is most likely able to charm something, whereas on defense it's much harder to get Crim to target something. For those sort of reasons, offense is also a lot easier to set up for, and therefore it's reasonable just to sack your defense, and you put like some units if you can, like anything that is decently leveled, just slap some spare cores on them and just hope for the best. Hopefully, like other people who don't have as much and just putting in fodder units in their defense, hopefully you can at least get squeeze out the extra points out of that and win the battle that way. But yeah, you basically want to have two different teams set up if you can, and yeah, then it's sort of you have to like build like a pretty generic team. Unfortunately, I just planned, around what you think will happen in the battle, um, and yeah, like unfortunately you can't really beat everyone, but there is a way to sort of semi-cheese it in a way. I mean, the game sort of allows you to do it, but basically you have a victory protection, which is this thing here, right? What it means is your first loss of the day will not break your win streak. All right, and then let's say you lose one of your battles. You then have a choice of whether you continue doing the battles and risk losing again, or you wait for the next day because the victory protection will refresh again, right? And that really depends on whether how high you're trying to climb up. Once you've lost your win streak, it doesn't really matter at that point. I would say I will just keep battling and doing all my attacks in the day to just at least do the current task and finish doing as many of the attacks as possible to get your easy experience, right? It's not a lot, but it's something, right? But yeah, basically if you lose the win streak, you go back down to 0 again, and you need to reaccumulate your win streak if you want to try to rank up, increase your rank again, right? Because the ranks are based off the win streak and how much you are able to maintain it. Now, if you really try hard, I guess you could also spend crystals to buy more attacks and climb back up to where you were before and try to do better. That's really up to you. I don't think it's worth the crystals. I would just take what you can get. I'm most likely not going to bother refreshing crystals on this at all. I'll just do my attacks. I get what I get, and that's probably how I'm personally going to approach it. The other thing is with the rankings, you're looking at trying to get top 100, of course. I think worst case scenario, you'll probably get top 1,000. I'll highly doubt that you'll drop down below top 1,000 because I don't think there's that many people playing the game. I could be wrong. We'll see. However, I would say if you're at least in top 1,000, you're pretty comfortable, right, with rewards. You're still getting 3 perfect crystal cores and 300 crystals. That's pretty good for, especially not spending any crystals. That's pretty good freebie rewards. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. It's just like a random PvP event. It is at least decently interesting though, and it gives you a bit of a reason to build more than just your standard 9 units or so, right? And that is pretty much it for the Cosmic Showdown. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. Anything I've missed, I'll try to answer you as soon as I can. I will be back to trying to check my messages on YouTube a bit more often now. Most of my my busy period is mostly over now, so we'll be getting back into doing some more guides shortly. I have some ideas to talk about, or some things to talk about, so we'll see how that goes. So anyway, thanks for watching. Good luck with your Cosmic Showdown. Hope you enjoy, and don't forget the double resource event, of course. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.